is Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement or how to buy consulting services. You'll get tips on how to use consulting, buy consulting, and managing the consulting. And now your host, Helene Lafitte.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement. I am Helene, and today I'm going to talk about the Consulting Procurement Toolbox, the techniques and tools behind the 6 levers. But before we get started, let me give you a brief recap of what we discussed in the last 6 lever series episode. Last week, I introduced the Consulting Performance Scanner, which is designed to help stakeholders cultivate a better understanding about their consulting investments. So these tools ensure that data from different departments across the organization is factored into reaching maximum ROI and outlines key criteria such as validations and supplier performance evaluations necessary for informed decision making. So leveraging existing organizational structure is key to optimizing spending. Setting boundaries and thresholds can help weed out outliers that don't meet the criteria, unlocking newfound opportunities for specialized professionals, which is to higher ROI in consulting services procurement initiatives with greater efficiency and insight-driven decision-making processes. In a nutshell, you'll be able to make smart decisions while creating transparency on multiple levels of the operations. So when you work on optimizing the ROI of your consulting spend, you want to review and activate the 6 levers we described in the previous episodes. But these levers are based on specific tools and methodologies. So today I'm going to introduce you to the Consulting Sourcing Toolbox. It's a comprehensive collection of tools dedicated to helping you effectively optimize your consulting spend. The toolbox includes tools such as make or buy strategy, demand management, or supplier relationship management. So indeed, these are typical procurement strategies that you probably already know, but with a twist. So here we're talking about an integrated consulting procurement model that helps you maximize the ROI of your spend. You can regroup these 2 tools into 4 main categories, which are actually the dimensions of our consulting maturity, procurement maturity grid. So we have strategy, governance and organization, sourcing process, category management, and enablers. So let's take a deeper dive into each of these categories and what tool they contain. But let's start with basics. The first category, strategy, organization, and governance. It's describing the choices and priority made by your organization to achieve your ambitions, the set of formal rules and structure that guide decision-making, and the way teams are structured and managed within the company. So the congruence of the areas, making them come together, is the essential basis to build a successful consulting procurement capability. In other words, how are decisions made when buying consulting services, who is involved, and how is consulting supporting the overall strategy? So the first tool is consulting strategy. So strategy and consulting often go hand in hand when it comes to success. So when you have to build your strategy, you need to start thinking on how to deliver, and more precisely on how you can use consulting to go faster and higher. So when thinking through your consulting strategy, consider project initiative that needs to be launched, how you want to segment them into bite-sized efforts, and which particular skill sets you need at the table. Now you need to decide on the best delivery strategy for your initiative. So it's important to understand your options and define which one makes sense for you. You are building your make or buy strategy. You should consider all the options available in the market when looking to get expert opinions and advice, such as market research directly accessible, consulting marketplaces, and expert networks. Having an internal consulting group can also be beneficial in terms of cost effectiveness and long-term value. So to ensure the most cost-effective and appropriate way forward, make sure that you analyze each project strategically before making a decision on whether or not to make or buy. Now, demand management. So it's all about staying focused on the most important projects and ensuring that those commitments are realized. So to ensure that organizations have the best change at success, they need to create a decision-making process that focuses on the projects with the highest return on investment. And this ensures that resources are used in an efficient manner and will assist in realizing business goals as effectively as possible. So when determining how an organization should handle consulting procurement, it's important to assess the critical mass within the organization first. So do we have enough demand and volume? From here, you have to decide on a strategy, centralized, decentralized, or something in between. Who would be best suited for this role? Either need for specialist skills or expertise. Having a clear understanding of the objectives will help determine who to have on board, ensuring that your organization is best positioned to make sound decisions around consulting procurement. So now, the second category is about the sourcing process. So the sourcing process describes how consulting services are purchased from need to completion. Internal stakeholders may have difficulties articulating their objectives, or they may be unclear about the process. And as a result, the consulting sourcing process can be inefficient and frustrating for all parties. So is the consulting sourcing process adapted to consulting services? Do you have the right steps? Is it adequate for the volume of projects that you handle, right? RFPs, or requests for proposal processes, are essential for any project planning, whether it should be outsourced to external consultant or not. Although there may not always be formal competition to identify the appropriate consulting firm needed to complete a project, RFP processes should still be implemented. It ensures stakeholder alignment and sets clear expectations for the consultants involved. RFP allow us to better define our needs, identify the skills that are needed, and make managing projects far easier. So we can focus on only the must-have while setting clear goals and deliverables and timelines. Ultimately, this will lead to a higher ROI and satisfy all stakeholders in it. So when it comes to sourcing consulting services, it's important to keep in mind that the process is often different than sourcing for other categories like travel or office supply. The key steps of the sourcing process should be tailored to the specific needs of the consulting category. A major difference with traditional indirect categories is that the value in this category often resides more in the scoping and selection phases as opposed to negotiations. And this is due to the highly intangible nature of consulting services, not just in terms of what's being sourced, but also how the price gets linked with scope, staffing, and timelines, and all variables which require a targeted approach during negotiation. So to ensure success and get good results from your consulting project, it's essential that decision-making and sourcing processes reflect that understanding. It's easy to overlook confidentiality when bringing on a consultant, thinking that you have the upper hand in terms of knowledge and power. However, no matter the size of the consulting job, from a standard operational project to something more critical, that an M&A screening, it's important to take specific steps for safeguarding any confidential information your company is sharing. It's essential that companies establish a systemized process using NDAs to protect proprietary information and trade secrets. So there are different options available, such as long-term NDAs or ad hoc project NDAs, or even comprehensive confidentiality clauses in master service agreements. When done properly, this additional layer of protection through NDAs not only reduces risk, but also allows successful completion of the sourcing process and objective between company and consultants. So contract management can be a complex and daunting process, but it's an important part of any business activity. And by taking control of the contract terms and conditions with your suppliers, you can gain the upper hand in negotiation. Establishing master service agreements with your main suppliers is also a great way to set the tone for your contract topics. Don't let them dictate their own terms to you. Furthermore, having contract templates based on the type of projects ready can make contract management smoother, faster, and more transparent. So appeal to the support of your legal team as needed. Colleagues who specialize in contract law may have invaluable insights that can help you make informed decisions. When managed correctly, contract management is a powerful tool. So go ahead and take control now. What other tools can be utilized in the sourcing process to make sure that you work with the right consultants? Launching competition, whenever relevant, is one way to run out a robust toolbox. It's also wise to check references systematically. It provides transparency and insight into what other projects each consulting firm has worked on with success. Taking things one step further, you can explore more sophisticated fee structures such as value sharing and performance-based fees to ensure complete alignment between your interest and those of the consultant. So bottom line, if you're going to embark on a sourcing process, make sure that you have all the right tools at your disposal. Now, next category, leveraging category management. So here, nothing rocket science. Category management, it's a strategic approach to procurement. It's where organizations segment their spend into areas that contain similar or related services. So how is your organization leveraging category management principle for the consulting category? Spend analysis is the key to improve MRI for consulting services, and yet it can be difficult to do when centralization of spend data is not possible. However, with visibility into who, what, and how much you're spending with each partner and vendor, you can make sure you're meeting return on investment goals while leveraging the right services to help your business succeed. So spend analysis enables organizations to accurately measure performance based on their actual costs so they can adjust accordingly. As Deming said, you can't improve what you can't measure. And it's absolutely true when it comes to consulting services. Spend analysis is the alpha and omega of effective sourcing of consulting services. There you go. Market knowledge, it's also an absolute necessity in today's business world. However, it can be both fast and catered, and clients often know only 10 to 15 firms when in fact there are thousands available. So market knowledge is further hindered by an asymmetrical information dynamics, meaning that consultants know far more about their craft than you consulting buyers or users will ever understand. And the key to taking the upper hand in this context lies in exploring the market, understanding cost breakdowns and pricing strategies, building benchmarks, and identifying new entrants and alternatives. So market knowledge can prove immensely beneficial for those who take the time to develop a strong understanding of it. Now, supplier performance is also key, because knowing who provides the best services for your company can help you succeed. When assessing suppliers, take into consideration multiple aspects of their performance: project management, impact, level of expertise, relationship, trust building are just a few dimensions to consider. After every completed project, it's a good idea to collect feedback from the suppliers as well as provide constructive feedbacks yourself. This will help build an understanding between the two parties and create improvement plans for future projects. Of course, it's important to also address any providers that fail to deliver satisfactory results. Staying on top of supplier performance is vital for keeping your company at its best. And consulting may be intangible, but in order for you to be effective, there must be an active effort to measure supplier performance. Preferred supplier list, also a great way to manage a company's relationship with suppliers while ensuring that all your needs are met. For PSL to work effectively, at least 80% of your current needs should be covered, necessitating less than 20% for spot projects with new suppliers. But the list should not just exist for the sake of having drawn up, Make use of the data from the spend analysis to segment the supplier panel and identify which suppliers you'd like to keep based on performance and value, as well as determine those that could benefit from being replaced or complemented by new faces. Furthermore, anticipate the needs of your internal stakeholders so you can begin building relationships that will eventually allow you to negotiate master service agreements with strategic suppliers and get discounts and rebates for bigger volume. So getting an effective preferred supplier list in place is more than just about numbers, right? It's essential in improving quality and driving value, right? When it comes to category management, other tools in the toolbox include supplier relationship or SRM, tail spend management, and continuous improvement. So SRM is all about maintaining healthy relationships with suppliers and encouraging mutually beneficial deals. Tail spend management helps categorize the minor spending levels, which can quickly add up to larger sums down the line. And lastly, continuous improvements is a keystone for success in any marketplace, as long-term solutions created through continual iterations become normalized for higher efficiency. And yet, it applies to consulting due to the positive impact of intimacy and regular touch points. So finally, the last category that we call enablers. So first, what is an enabler? It's any system, team, or process that helps drive and optimize the procurement of consulting services. So this includes platforms, tools, and technologies that streamline operations and teams to manage them. So enablers also include performance metrics, scorecards, operating models to help ensure that processes are efficient and optimized. With all these enablers in place, company can maximize the efficiency and success of their consulting procurement operations. So let's have a look at a few examples. So it can be a taxonomy of consulting capabilities that describe the different types of consulting services used in the company. It can also be a spend management dashboard that gives procurement an instant overview of the situation and forecast. It can also be a handbook for consulting buyers that explains each step of the process based on the type of project. And it can, of course, be a digital procurement platform that automates the process of procurement and facilitates the management of the category. Here we go, all the tools in your consulting procurement toolbox. So let's keep this conversation going and start building your consulting procurement capability to maximize the ROI of your consulting spend. So we've covered a lot of ground when it comes to improving the ROI of your consulting spend. To sum it up, the tools we've discussed today organized into 4 categories of strategy, organization, and governance, sourcing process, category management principles, and enablers, provide a comprehensive framework for optimizing your consulting spends. When it comes to strategy, it's important to focus on how you use consulting and make sure you're using it on the right projects. Demand management is key here, because that's how you ensure that the rules that you have designed to focus on the main projects are indeed implemented, right? So the sourcing process is another critical area to focus on by tailoring the steps to the needs of the consulting category and using RFP processes to align stakeholders. You can establish confidentiality through NDAs and take control over negotiation with suppliers. So don't forget to leverage competition when relevant and check references systematically. You can also consider value sharing and performance fee structures. Category management principles are also essential for improving ROI. Spend analysis is key, as is market knowledge necessary for understanding cost breakdown and pricing strategy. Supplier performance is important, so make sure to assess project management, impact, and expertise, among other factors. PSLs can help manage relationship while meeting your company needs. And finally, enablers like platform tools, teams, processes, and performance metrics can optimize procurement of consulting services for maximum efficiency and success. So with all these tools at your disposal, you're well on your way to improve the ROI of your consulting spend. And if you need any help, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help you succeed. And just like that, we reached the end of the podcast. So keep an eye for me next week when I return with another fascinating topic. Till then, stay safe and happy sourcing. And if you have any questions about today's topic on any consulting procurement related topic, actually, remember you can always contact me directly on LinkedIn or by email, because I'm always game for a chat. Bye and see you next week. Au revoir.
You've been listening to Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, hit the website at consultingquest.com. Find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. For questions and comments, send an email to ellen.lafitte@consultingquest.com. See you next time.